What if everything you thought you knew about women was only half the story? Evolutionary psychologist David Buss has spent over 3 decades studying human mating behavior, and what he's discovered challenges everything mainstream culture tells us. Today, I'm sharing the insights I wish someone had told me years ago, the psychological patterns that operate beneath the surface of attraction, relationships, and female behavior. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn will fundamentally change how you understand the opposite sex. Let's start with a truth that makes people uncomfortable. Men and women evolved different psychological mechanisms for reproduction, and these mechanisms still operate today, whether we acknowledge them or not. David Buss's research reveals that women face a fundamentally different challenge than men when it comes to mating. A woman invests 9 months of pregnancy, years of nursing, and enormous resources into each child. This biological reality shaped female psychology in profound ways over hundreds of thousands of years. Here's what this means in practical terms. Women evolved to be extraordinarily selective about their partners because the stakes were literally life and death. Choose poorly, and you could end up raising a child alone without resources or protection. This isn't conscious strategy. It's deeply wired psychology that manifests in behaviors most people never consciously recognize. Now here's where it gets fascinating, and this is something most men never learn until it's too late. Buss's research uncovered what he calls strategic pluralism in female mating psychology. Women don't have just one mating strategy. They have multiple strategies that activate depending on circumstances, relationship phase, and even where they are in their menstrual cycle. The first strategy focuses on long-term partnership. Women evaluate men for qualities like reliability, resources, commitment, kindness, and parental investment. This is the strategy everyone talks about openly, seeking a good partner and father. But there's a second strategy that operates simultaneously, and it's focused on genetic quality. Women are attracted to markers of genetic fitness, physical attractiveness, symmetry, masculinity, confidence, social dominance, and signs of good immune function. Here's the uncomfortable truth. These two strategies don't always point to the same man. The reliable provider might not have the same genetic markers as the physically dominant alpha male. This creates an internal psychological conflict that manifests in complex ways throughout courtship and relationships. Understanding this dual strategy explains behaviors that otherwise seem contradictory or irrational. Let me share something that will immediately resonate if you've been in relationships. Women test men, not because they're manipulative or playing games, but because they're unconsciously assessing your quality as a mate. Buss's research shows that these tests serve crucial evolutionary functions. They reveal whether you're truly confident or just posturing, whether you'll maintain your status under pressure, and whether you have the emotional strength to lead and protect. These tests come in many forms. She might create small dramas to see how you respond to stress. She might subtly challenge your decisions to see if you fold or hold your ground. She might withdraw affection temporarily to see if you become needy or remain secure. The key insight here is that these aren't conscious manipulations. They're unconscious psychological mechanisms designed to extract information about your true nature. Men who understand this don't get angry at the testing. They recognize it as a natural part of mate evaluation. The man who passes these tests with calm confidence and emotional stability demonstrates exactly the qualities women evolved to seek. The man who fails by becoming reactive, defensive, or weak confirms her unconscious suspicion that he's not high quality. Here's another pattern that David Buss documented extensively. Women are hypergamous, meaning they're attracted to men of equal or higher status than themselves. This isn't about women being shallow or materialistic. It's about the evolutionary logic of reproduction. Throughout human history, a woman's reproductive success was directly tied to her partner's ability to provide resources and protection. This creates a fascinating dynamic in modern dating. As women increase their own education, income, and status, their pool of acceptable partners actually shrinks rather than expands. A highly successful woman doesn't become less selective. She becomes more selective because her baseline for equal or higher status has risen. This explains patterns in modern dating that confuse many people. Why successful women often struggle to find partners, or why they remain attracted to men who can match or exceed their accomplishments. Understanding hypergamy helps men grasp a crucial reality. Attraction isn't primarily about being nice or treating her well. Those qualities matter for relationship maintenance, but attraction is triggered by perceived mate value. You must demonstrate status, competence, confidence, and social proof. Women are attracted upward in the dominance hierarchy. This is psychological bedrock. Here's something that will blow your mind. Unlike virtually every other primate species, human women conceal their ovulation. Female chimpanzees develop obvious swellings that advertise fertility. Human women show no such obvious signs. Why? David Buss and other researchers believe this concealment served a specific strategic purpose. By hiding ovulation, ancestral women gained leverage and control in their relationships. Men couldn't simply show up during the fertile window and disappear the rest of the month. They had to stick around continuously to ensure paternity. This concealment also gave women the ability to engage in what researchers call extra-pair copulation, seeking genetic benefits from high-quality males while securing investment from committed partners. Modern studies reveal that women's preferences actually shift across their menstrual cycle. During peak fertility, women show increased attraction to masculine features, dominant behavior, and symmetrical faces, markers of genetic quality. During the non-fertile phase, they show increased attraction to kindness, reliability, and commitment, markers of good partners. This isn't conscious. Women themselves often don't notice these shifts. But the psychological mechanisms are real and measurable. Let's talk about something every man needs to understand. Women's emotional psychology operates differently than men's, and this creates massive communication gaps. David Buss's research shows that women evolved to be more sensitive to emotional cues, social dynamics, and relationship threats. This isn't weakness. It's specialized intelligence. Women communicate covertly more than men do. They're more likely to use indirect language, subtle cues, and emotional subtext. When a woman says, "I'm fine," in a certain tone, she's communicating volumes, but she expects you to decode the message. Men who take statements literally and ignore emotional context consistently fail in relationships. Here's the key. Women often communicate to build connection and process emotions, while men typically communicate to exchange information and solve problems. When she shares a problem, she's usually not asking you to fix it. She's inviting emotional connection. The man who immediately jumps into solution mode misses the entire point of the interaction. She feels unheard and disconnected. He feels confused about why his help was rejected. Understanding this difference transforms relationships. David Buss conducted groundbreaking research on jealousy that revealed a stunning sex difference. When asked what would upset them more, their partner having sex with someone else or forming a deep emotional connection with someone else, men and women showed opposite patterns. men were more distressed by sexual infidelity. Why? Because throughout evolutionary history, a man's worst nightmare was investing resources in children that weren't genetically his. Sexual infidelity meant potential cuckoldry, raising another man's offspring. Women were more distressed by emotional infidelity. Why? Because a woman's worst nightmare was her partner falling in love with another woman and withdrawing his resources and protection. Emotional infidelity signaled abandonment and loss of investment. This difference manifests in modern relationships constantly. A man might forgive emotional closeness, but lose his mind over sexual betrayal. A woman might forgive a meaningless physical encounter but feel devastated by emotional intimacy with another woman. Neither response is wrong. They're different psychological mechanisms, shaped by different reproductive challenges. Here's what I wish someone had told me years ago. Understanding female psychology isn't about manipulation or playing games. It's about recognizing that men and women evolved different psychological mechanisms, and these mechanisms shape behavior in powerful ways. Women aren't mysterious or irrational. They're operating according to deep evolutionary logic that makes perfect sense once you understand the underlying patterns. David Buss's research provides a roadmap for navigating these complex dynamics with wisdom rather than confusion. When you understand hypergamy, you focus on building genuine status and competence. When you understand dual mating strategies, you balance providing comfort with maintaining attraction. When you understand testing, you respond with confidence rather than defensiveness. The men who succeed with women aren't necessarily the most physically attractive or wealthy. They're the men who understand these psychological patterns and calibrate their behavior accordingly. They become the kind of man that female psychology evolved to seek. Confident, competent, emotionally strong, and capable of both providing resources and displaying genetic quality. This knowledge is power, but it comes with responsibility. Use these insights to build genuine connections, become a better partner, and navigate relationships with wisdom. The alternative is stumbling through dating and relationships confused, frustrated, and wondering why things keep going wrong. If this video opened your eyes to patterns you've experienced but never understood, share it with someone who needs to hear this. And remember, the truth about human psychology might be uncomfortable, but it's infinitely more useful than comfortable illusions. That's what David Buss's lifetime of research teaches us, and that's what I wish someone had told me years ago.